Hello and welcome back to the Luminous Body Podcast, Healing from Within. I'm your co-host, Dr. Hilary Conroy, and I'm joined by my husband, Dr. Jackson Waring. This podcast was created to share information about health and healing and to empower you with your healing journey. So, on with the show. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. Today's a really exciting episode. We are discussing essentially the hidden impact that stress and our emotions have on our physical and chemical health.
That's right. Have you ever considered how stress and how emotions might be manifesting into physical symptoms or biochemical processes that are destructive to the body? That's the direction that we're going in. We're not necessarily talking about it in a way that is sad, bad, and destructive. We're going to be talking about stress with the intention to empower you and inspire you to really embrace the way that stress works and the way what it's meant to do, its original kind of intention on our system. We want you to be able to lean in and embrace stress in your life. Stress is normal, natural. Everyone's got it. It's actually essential to our growth and our evolution. We want people to understand emotions as chemistry, understand emotions as physiology, not necessarily something you can control or even repress or manage or shape into whatever you desire it to be. We want to lean in and embrace our emotional processes, our emotional system as a source of information and as a guide, essentially, to healing.
That's right. And this is continuing on from our series about the triad of health. And we've just spent a long time talking about chemistry and biochemistry and, you know, how that can impact us overall. And I think chemistry is quite well understood generally.
Yeah. And I think when we look at our health, especially when we talk about like holistic care, we go, well, there's medical care for our chemistry, like medicines and surgeries.
Yep.
And then there's alternative care for our chemistry or our health, which is like supplements and how we eat and what we drink. But we're hoping that through talking about the biochemistry in the shape, like through the lens of the triad of health, that will give you a whole new appreciation to how the whole system's working through that. And now we want to add another layer.
Yes.
The triad of health is a three-way street.
That's right.
We covered biochemistry as one lane, and now we want to talk about emotional health as the other lane.
Yep. Emotional health and stress.
Yes.
And I think like more and more we have a better understanding about the impact of this, but not enough.
No.
We don't really, it still feels like a strange cloud in the sky.
I know. And there's tons of research that covers how stress impacts us on almost every level of our being, whether that's in our relationships, at work, through our communication, in families, and then also in our health. There's so much research that underpins how stress can cause disease. In fact, you know, we talked a lot about lifestyle factors. Stress is one of those lifestyle factors. I think it's just that there's been like a fair bit of stigma around stress. Like it's something that you can control. It's something that you should manage somehow. And that's not our view.
No.
No.
Stress isn't something that is inherently bad. And if something isn't inherently bad, in fact, if it's something that is quite neutral, then it allows us to perceive it differently.
That's right. I think that there's been a lot of shame around stress levels and this kind of like a bit of a badge of honor as well, especially in the city we live in Sydney. It's like, how are you? I'm busy.
I'm stressed.
Okay. You know, I'm stressed. And it's like, okay, that's good. You're just like everyone else. But I think what we're leaning towards is the view that stress is normal and natural and you should experience stress. Otherwise, it's very hard for you to be living and growing in the right kind of direction.
That's right.
Yeah. So I guess it's been really hard for us to consider stress as part of a disease process or part of health and well-being because we've always sort of thought, well, I'm stressed because of me and somehow it's my failure.
Yeah.
And we're like, no. Like, let's look at stress. Like from my experience working in the clinic and helping people, you know, with their emotional health. It's been about using emotions and stress and our response to that as a guide for healing. So it's kind of like the way we respond to stress really depicts how it's going to go. Is it going to turn into something that is destructive in your system, or is it going to turn into something that ultimately can be very positive?
That's right. But let's take it back a notch. What is stress?
What is it?
Yeah, look, stress is just a natural biological response to how we perceive a threat or a challenge around us.
Right.
I think that word perception is really important.
Yeah, me too.
Because we're all different. We all respond to things differently. And so how you respond might not be the same as how I would respond.
That's right. And that is essential for anyone who is ever in the listening seat or on the other side of someone's process, emotional or stress-wise. I know as a practitioner who works with people's stress that it is important for me to ground myself in the fact that our response to a stressful event is through perception, and everybody's perception is unique. In that way, we all have our own emotional reality and it's real to us, regardless of how it might be to someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how stress is actually quite beneficial. Like, what circumstances can we take stress and say, wow, I'm glad for that stress?
Yeah, I mean, I think stress was always meant to be beneficial, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think as an evolution process, stress has been a part of growth and evolution. So how we adapt to that stressful environment changes our genetics, and then that gets embedded in our memories and it gets passed down and down and down, and then we evolve as a species, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes, so I think that's positive.
Yeah, that's what me too. Yeah. We do learn from our experiences.
That's right. I think stress is ultimately, it's positive because it's a guidepost.
Yeah.
It says you can grow in this direction, or this is difficult for you right now. Problem solve, move through it, overcome these feelings, and in place of what felt stressful or hard or difficult will now be something that probably instills more confidence, instills more of a skill set. Plus, you've got this memory of this situation that you will always have. So next time it happens, you will be able to show up in a different way.
Totally. And not only that, if you think about your day-to-day life, stress is actually quite of a motivating factor. And so if we didn't feel stress, we wouldn't feel a sense of urgency.
That's right.
We wouldn't be able to tap into the parts of our brains that we're not using all the time.
That's right.
Think about having to give a presentation. The burst of adrenaline, that nervous energy that you get beforehand, allows you to get up in front of perhaps 100 people and say, hey, like these are my thoughts. Without that adrenaline and that stress, those things are hard. Humans are not geared towards discomfort. Yeah. And stress allows you to meet that discomfort with innovative new ways.
Yeah, it's like gives you enough activation to be able to show up and do what needs to be done.
Mobilize you.
That's right. Stress is a motivator.
Yes.
It inspires us to take action. It creates behavioral change. And if we create behavioral change that is advantageous, then we will remember it and we will advance. And it's very quick. I think something that has been really clouded for me over the years learning about stress and working with it has been this whole thing of like stress it can take up all our attention because our brain is designed is geared towards survival. So anything that feels like a threat, we're going to hyper-focus on it.
Yeah.
And what I think we don't pay enough attention to, or maybe we haven't had enough experience of because we haven't hacked the system the way we're going to be teaching people how to, is that so much good comes from overcoming stress.
Yeah.
So much can be in place of fear, like confidence, self-esteem.
Resilience.
Yeah. And you know, I'm just talking about the emotional side of things as well. When we meet stress with this attitude of using it as a guide and as a motivator and overcoming, we sleep better. We have better conversations.
Yeah.
Our work is more productive. We have better creativity. It's not just for our emotional well-being dealing with stress. It's for our physical and chemical well-being as well.
Because they are intricately connected.
Intricately. And we will be going into those intricacies over the next few weeks.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. This is exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that the emotional aspect of health is something that I really thrive. Like, in reading about, in working with people, in hearing the stories of people overcoming stress that's my thing.
I often say I live for this.
I
love the physical stuff. I love the chemical stuff, I live for the transformations and the healing that can occur when you adequately address the emotional and stress components of health.
Totally, 100%. I agree. It's almost like magic in action.
It is. It is magic in action. It really is. And I think what I'm really excited for everybody listening to really land with is that stress and emotions are as real and physical as a sore shoulder.
Exactly.
As a gut dysbiosis. Your emotions exist in your body in that kind of way.
That's right. Emotions are physiological.
That's right.
They're chemical and they exist like that. And they're a source of information. And it's almost how we've been taught to respond and approach our emotional self.
Yeah.
That blocks it.
Yes.
And we want to break that down, the perception that we have that we can control or we can manage. No, let's become a listener.
Yeah.
And let's allow our emotions to guide us.
Yeah, that's right.
We're just going to give you the infrastructure for that.
That's exactly what we're going to do. We're super stoked. Now, one thing we haven't said is we've said, hey, yes, stress is good. But what we haven't said is stress is good to a point.
Yeah.
And there's actually quite a fine line.
It's a fine line.
Yeah.
And I'll put my hand up first. I'm still finding that line.
Yeah.
Every day is a dance with the line. Yeah.
I think, and everyone's line is different.
Exactly.
Again,
other people's emotional reality is their emotional reality and it's totally valid.
Yes.
And it might be totally different to yours.
Yes. Yeah. But there is a curve. There is a curve that says, hey, there's this moderate amount of stress that is all about growth, all about motivation and neuroplasticity and resilience and all of these positive things. But if you cross that line, from healthy doses of stress to just something that you can't manage or process in real time, that's when we start to have problems.
Yeah, that's when stress becomes destructive.
Yes.
And I think we all know how that feels. We've all got headaches from stress.
Yeah.
We've all got from stress, burnt out to the point we get a sickness.
Yes.
We've all had that acidic fever from having way too much cortisol, working on 4 hours sleep or just prepping for something that's big for us or whatever. We've all had, IBS symptoms, diarrhea.
Yeah, bit of a nervous poo.
Yeah, nervous poo. Butterflies in the stomach, chest pain.
Sweaty.
Yes, sweating.
Yeah.
The lump in the throat. I mean, you name it, the dry mouth. That's all a product of stress. Probably it's gone over the line, I think. But even
when it's sustained like that. So when you feel those things day in, day out, we go from this moderate, lovely level of stress. It doesn't really always feel lovely, but it is for the body to chronic stress.
Yeah.
And chronic stress is its own beast.
Totally. So what are some examples of acute stress?
Acute stress?
Yeah.
Acute stress is
the manageable kind.
The manageable kind is someone's bumped into me. I've got a shot of adrenaline. I've got a shot of cortisol. My heart's racing.
Yeah. I'm
thinking very quickly and I'm mobilized. So I can get out of the car and I can, have a bit of a shout. Hey, what are you doing?
Has road rage.
Yeah, I can't even pretend that I don't. Actually, it's much better.
You're managing it so well these
days. It's way better. It's more internal now.
Yeah, good, well done.
Yeah. But so this acute stress, it gets you going. It gives you the confidence to say, hey, what's your number and your license? And
assess the situation.
Yeah.
If anyone's injured, attend to them, that kind of thing. Yeah. And that's kind of a normal response to stress.
And in that, what should happen quite quickly afterwards, so you all know that initial jittery feeling. What should happen is the part of the nervous system that's all about calming things down, settling you down, parasympathetic nervous system kicks right back in, and we go back to that level of homeostasis where we are not on edge anymore.
Yeah.
We feel calm and we feel focused and, what happened was in the past and we can move on.
Well, I guess it's when we can come out of the acute stress and give ourselves a little bit of time. We can process that stress and so we don't carry that activation around anymore.
Exactly.
So we can go, oh, someone knocked into me. I'm not injured, they're not injured, I've got everything settled insurance-wise, and I can still drive my car,
Yes.
so next plan. That's kind of the processing. Sometimes if there's a lot of adrenaline, like chemically processing those emotions, you might get a bit shivery, shaky, you might have to have a little movement.
Yes, a cry.
Yeah, sometimes you have to express it, cry, have a little bit of, if you, you maybe expressed it when you shouted at the person. Maybe that's one way of getting it out, we don't know. And that's another way that the body chemically can process that stress, which is really important. There is a switch in the brain that happens when we get shots of noradrenaline. Adrenaline and noradrenaline are they're the neurotransmitters of the stress system, the sympathetic nervous system. And after an initial shot of that, there usually comes a set of endorphins, which help to activate then the parasympathetic nervous system, which is all about coming off the stress and being able to process what happened, like coming back into your body, understanding the situation, and like you said, move on.
And breaking down those stress hormones.
That's right.
So they're no longer elevated
and
in
the
your
impact
system.
of them, you know, because stress hormones are very acidic. And so endorphins, they go out and they smooth everything down and they return the system back to homeostasis.
While we're talking about it, what does adrenaline do?
Well,
just to cover just quickly, because I think it's important.
Yeah. So, adrenaline and noradrenaline as neurotransmitters in the body, almost every single cell in the body has a receptor for it.
Yeah.
And it should, because adrenaline is the sympathetic fight or flight neurotransmitter. That's what activates the body.
The survival response.
Exactly. And every organ has a set of receptors. And so when they receive adrenaline into those receptors, they will have a different response. So for the heart, for example, when there's adrenaline in the system, the heart will be activated in a way that your heart rate will go up, your blood pressure will go up. In the same way, the lungs will quicken, the respiratory rate will go up, and so on and so forth. So you will activate parts of the brain that can hyperfocus and can also expand out your vision. So you're taking in more information. Same thing, like your eyes will dilate to take in more light.
The whole purpose of adrenaline is to gear your body physically to run or fight.
That's right. So all of the blood leaves your vital organs, it goes into your arms and legs so
muscles.
that you can run. Okay, so we get a flush of blood doing that.
Yeah.
And other things will happen, like
get sweaty.
The sweat glands will change. So almost every single cell in the body will change in response to adrenaline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Will change in response to stress, and we'll feel that. Yeah. Yeah, so adrenaline also has different effects on the brain. It is a neurotransmitter. Yeah. So it will, just like serotonin or dopamine, it will have an effect on the way that we think. And it will have the effect will gear us towards more short-term solutions and short-term stress. Yeah.
Thank you for clearing that up. No, I just think let's get you and Jackson and I, and health workers, we understand. But I think everyone needs to understand that the symptoms that you're having, it's your body trying to keep you safe.
And the thing about adrenaline as well is in the body is it's prioritized.
Yeah.
If there's adrenaline, it will be taken up. And the pathways by which it works in every system of the body are really fast.
So quick.
Really, really fast. And that's a good thing because we need to be able to have lightning fast reflexes if we're under threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's acute stress.
Yeah.
So that's short-term stress, things that are manageable, like getting nervous before a presentation.
That's right.
Like preparing for a competition, like maybe getting accidents that happen that we get blindsided for. But what about chronic stress?
Yeah. So chronic stress is sustained stress.
Yeah.
That can look like the stress that you experience if you're in a caretaker role.
Yeah.
It can look like having a difficult relationship. That can also look like having unresolved trauma.
That's right.
And the difference between acute and chronic stress is acute stress, like we said, there's a lot of adrenaline and cortisol. But with chronic stress, with this sustained stress, we have constantly elevated cortisol.
Yeah.
And the impact of this constantly elevated cortisol on our body is so far-reaching that it will take a while to cover.
That's right.
But essentially it triggers a breakdown of lots of systems, leads into other chronic health issues.
Yeah.
in short, in a nutshell, that's what chronic stress is.
Yeah,
we cannot recover from it.
Yeah, that's right. It's like cortisol does to the body what adrenaline does.
Yes.
But it stays like that for a long time. So you could imagine, even just as a small example, if we're flooded with cortisol because we're under chronic stress, like we're in a toxic relationship, or things aren't working out right, or, work is relentless or whatever, or like you said, like we're a carer for someone, that takes a lot. You're living in a state where, the blood isn't in your vital organs as often as it should be.
Yeah.
It's in your arms and legs and in your muscles, right? and you're kind of like in this posture because those channels are pumping. And so it can lead, if those organs aren't getting what they need, then their ability to regenerate, refresh, do the things they're supposed to do, like break down food and digest it and absorb it, like detox, all these things or create neurotransmitters, create hormones.
Yes.
All those processes slow down dramatically.
Yeah.
Under chronic stress, just because the way the cortisol affects the body.
Yeah.
And so you can imagine that, after years of, let's say, your reproductive system not receiving the blood and the chi and the nutrients and everything that it needs as often as it needs, then we're going to end up with like reproductive issues.
Correct.
Say. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing about cortisol that I think is really sneaky, that is really good to keep in the back of your mind if things are not making sense, is all of the hormones in our body come from the same compound, that's cholesterol.
Yeah.
What your body does is it will always prioritize your survival. We've said that a few times.
This is sneaky.
And it is sneaky, I know.
But also ingenious if you think about it.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Your body, because all your hormones come from cholesterol, your body says, well, we've got a finite amount of cholesterol and we've got a bucket load of stress. We're going to convert that cholesterol into cortisol.
Yeah.
Because we need cortisol. Now, the body's not like, let's get more cholesterol and make reproductive and thyroid and other hormones. It's just like, no, don't have a baby right now. That's the worst idea.
Yeah.
This is the wrong time.
Yeah.
I want everything going to cortisol so that you survive.
That's right. So the body will prioritize cortisol metabolism over reproductive hormone metabolism. Yeah. And so that's when you see, like in guys who have high stress or high cortisol, you start to see impotence, low sperm count, poor sperm motility. You start to see
low libido,
in prostate, low libido. I mean, there's a whole swathe of things that are going on. And it's just because the body's done what it's designed to do, which is help you survive.
Yeah.
It's just that it's having a normal response to sort of abnormal stimuli.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So chronic stress can really affect the system by increasing cortisol. It can be very destructive on tissues because those tissues aren't being served properly. It can impact our health, but especially can impact the brain.
Yeah.
The thing that is trippy about cortisol and chronic stress is that if you're under chronic stress, your ability to cope with stress actually decreases.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when we start hitting things like burnout, when the body breaks down so much that it can no longer support your ability to cope with stress or attend to stress. And we see this a lot with people who have PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder or complex PTSD, or even just have stored trauma that hasn't been processed. It is kind of a gift that keeps on giving. But maybe not what you want,
Yeah.
It's a gift in a way that it keeps alerting you to the fact that it's there, but in different ways. So we see this this breakdown of our ability, our resilience, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just can't bounce back the same way. And it's literally because the cortical processes, or the actual tissue of your brain, in the areas that are supposed to help you process stress
and regulate your emotions.
That's right. They actually become so acidic, they actually break down. And so we see in a lot of functional MRIs of people who have PTSD, CPTSD, and chronic stress, we actually see shrinkage in the prefrontal and frontal cortex.
And the hippocampus.
Where we actually create and store memories and process emotions.
Yeah.
So we actually become so geared to stress that we can't come out of it.
Oh.
I know. And it's sad because it's sad for me to witness the body try so hard.
Yep. And it tries so hard. But I think also because we are so disconnected from this stress process, we don't know how to help it and be with it.
That's right. And that is the key.
That's the key.
That is the key to emotional healing.
Yes.
That is the key to including emotional health, well-being, and real deal techniques and tools to help you process stress into healthcare.
That's right.
It is essential. I think it's the golden nugget. I think it's a bit of a silver bullet that hasn't been found yet. I do. I think if we incorporated that, we would see major changes.
I agree.
If we were seeing it in the research, we would see it in the community too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've covered a lot today.
Same.
Yeah. So we're going to leave you on that lovely cliffhanger.
And next week.
Yeah. Next week we're gonna break it down just a little bit more and make it make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, we're going to go into the more emotional healing and things like that. So
Yeah.
stay tuned. Hey, leave us a review or send us a question or a remark or something like that. I want to get interacting with our audience.
Yeah.
And any questions that you have, we will answer them.
Yeah.
So send them in.
Let us know. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you're feeling inspired, please leave us a review. It would mean a lot to us. Did this episode resonate with you? Tell us all about it by reaching out to us on our socials. Or if you know someone who might benefit from hearing about this podcast, please share it with them. Like this, subscribe to us, and until next time, happy healing.